I just wanted to create a couple short videos. Hopefully they'll be short about downloading sketches from the P5JS website online editor, and then running them, fixing them and then running them so with the uh, remote or local server. Gosh, my brain is not working. So using a local server. I'm going to be doing this using an Apple computer. So for those of you who have PCs, things will be a little different. Now, if you looked at those instructions that I gave you, the link to those instructions that I gave you, there is a way for people using PCs to emulate the command center, right? What we call the terminal on Macs, where you type your commands in so that you can run a local server. So if you want to do that, that's great. Otherwise, just try your best to follow those instructions as you saw them. But this might be useful to you, whether you're using a PC or not. It will definitely be useful to you if you're using a Mac. All right, so I've just created, to start things out, a quick little sketch here. It's just drawing a square, nothing to it, right? The square is just a red square in the center of the canvas. That's it, right? No other files. So if I look at my sketch files, I've arranged them like this. Now notice I've arranged them in a different way. The way we normally arrange things in online, on our computers, is we put the CSS file in a folder, we put the JS files in a folder. I can show you how to set it up, do it the default way here in the editor, and then change it when we get into the computer. But you can also reorganize your files here first before you download, right? So what I've done with my HTML, so I've created my JS and my CSS folders here, along with the index already, and then so the style, I didn't change anything about the CSS here, and in the JS folder we just have the sketch, right? Now what I did change was, other than creating these two folders and putting those files inside the folders, is in my index. And in the index, what I've done is with the CSS, right, in the href, I've put a reference to the CSS folder. This is exactly the way we normally do it when we're using our computers, right? When you're working in your computer, you're creating your project, you put your CSS file in a CSS folder, and then in your HTML, you make a reference to it here. The default way to do it here in the P5JS editor doesn't do that, right? And it also doesn't put the files in the folder. And I've done the same thing with the JS file, right? The sketch. I've referred to the JS folder because I put it in the JS folder. Now, if I download this, it's going to download the whole package, right? All of these files. Let me do that, and then we'll set up the server, and then I'll try it the old way, the default way, right? Without rearranging my files here first. All right, so I'm going to just choose, if you haven't yet, you would need to save it, and I've saved it as Square Test. And then I'm going to go to the File menu and choose Download. Okay, it's going to download, and it has downloaded. It is in my Downloads folder, so I'm going to pick that up. There's the download right here. Now, it does download these two additional files, and I'll show you how to attach those also. Those two files that we have right here that are not referred to in the default mode, they're not referred to in the index. Right? We don't have any script tag that refers to those two files, which are the P5JS file and the P5SoundMin.js file. We don't have any of those here. We do have them up here. Right? They're up here. Now, they're not linked locally, they're linked online, right? You see HTTPS, HTTPS. You can use these even in your own websites if you want. I tend to prefer local, and they do give them to us, right, so that we can make reference to them locally, and I'll show you how to do that also. Okay, so I've downloaded them. Now I've already created a separate folder system for it, so I'm going to put the different files there. I'll just drag or copy and paste the index here. I will get my CSS file here and put it in the CSS folder. I will get my sketch file, which is in the JS folder, and I'll put it in the JS folder. Now I'm also going to get these two JS files and put them in the JS folder as well, even though they aren't here. So I have these three JS files, the sketch file, the p5.js, the p5sound.min.js file. I have the styles file, and then I have the index. Now, if I try opening this right now, it probably won't work. Typically, even though it says that in those instructions that if you're not using assets like videos or image files, it should work. But with my experience, for the most part, it doesn't work, right? So typically you're going to get this thing called loading, right? It's just saying it's loading, but it never loads, right? So I am going to start my server first, which is right here. And that's pretty simple. First thing I want to do is navigate to where this folder is located, the p5.js video tutorials file. So I want to navigate there. The default location where when I first opened this, what's called a shell here, is not on the desktop. So I have to navigate to the desktop. So if I just list the files where I am, it'll basically tell me how. I'll show you how to get there, right? The opening location is when I do ls, which is just listing the files, right? I want to go to the desktop. So that means I have to change my folder. I'm in a different folder. Well, when we were using this, we call it directory, so I want to change my directory. I want to go into the desktop. So I put cd to change directory and then desktop. So now I'm on the desktop. Now I want to list the files and folders here. So I do ls. I have a bunch of stuff on my desktop. What I want to change to is that folder right up here, p5.js video tutorials folder, which is this folder up here where I put all my p5.js files. I want to change to that folder. So instead of typing that all out, I'm just going to copy that and then cd and paste what I just copied and then hit enter. Now I want to list what's here. So ls. And it says CSS folder, HTML folder, index.html, JS, and media, which is what I've got right there. So I'm looking at the contents of the current folder, which is this folder, both here and here. So I'm in the right place. So the next thing I want to do, let me make this a little smaller. The next thing I want to do is to start my local server. If your Python is updated to version 3, then you're going to put p3 or Python 3 and then -m and then http .server. And I've started it. Nothing's going to change here though, right? We don't see the change here. But that has started my server. We see it says serving HTTP on port 8000. So that means when I open a new window here, I just do HTTP localhost colon 8000. And here we go. This is where we are. I get to see it, and it's working properly. Okay, so that is how you would get it started. I'm going to show you an alternative way in the next video. Okay.